Good evening there, everybody. What is happening? Hopefully, you all are having a wonderful day today. So, I thought that I would talk about this fight that's going to be happening next week. I believe next weekend. And I believe that is going to be the fight that I think is on Triller pay-per-view, which this is a kind of an interesting fight to put on pay-per-view, but it is what it is. So, the fight that we're going to be talking about today is the Teofimo Lopez versus George Kambosos fight that I believe is going to be happening next week. And this is kind of an interesting fight. I believe this is Teofimo's mandatory when it comes down to it. And it's kind of an interesting fight. George Kambosos, he's sort of new on the scene, kind of on the come up when it comes down to it. And Teofimo Lopez, he recently has become one of boxing's bigger stars because not only of his win over Lomachenko, but with the type of power that he has and overall the type of knockouts that he has delivered over and over again. And also with his talent and skill set. So Teofimo Lopez, he certainly has become one of the bigger stars in boxing. He certainly is a pretty big attraction when it comes down to it, even though I'm not sure how well this fight is going to do on pay-per-view, but we'll see what happens. Anyways, when it comes down to it, so we're going to predict this fight. We're going to break this fight down, and I'm going to tell you who I think is going to win this fight and why. So anyways, Teofimo Lopez, of course, the last time we seen him in the ring, I believe was against Vasyl Lomachenko. Tough fight for the both of them, but I do think Teofimo Lopez overall pulled out of that fight when it came down to it, and I think overall that he handled Vasyl Lomachenko very well when it came down to it. And I've had a certain amount of Vasyl Lomachenko fans, come at me and they say, well, Vasyl Lomachenko, he had an injured shoulder, blah, 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 blah. Well, whether it was injured in the fight or not, to me it doesn't really matter. I didn't hear anything about a shoulder injury until overall after the fight, so it is what it is. Either way, whether he was injured or not, Vasyl Lomachenko ended up losing the fight, and you have to give Teofimo Lopez credit for that fight. It is what it is. All right, he ended up beating who, in my opinion, at the time was the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. So Teofimo Lopez, he is a real deal fighter. He overall is a great fighter. There is no doubt about that. He knows how to box. He's a great athlete. He's got a great power, decent speed when it comes down to it, decent skill set, and decent boxing IQ. He's a very decent boxer when it comes down to it. So, all in all, Teofimo Lopez, he certainly commands a lot of respect. Now, George Kambosos Jr., like I said, he's a little bit newer to the scene. The last couple of fights I believe that he has had, been against some pretty decent contenders. I believe one was against Mickey Bay, where that was a split decision. I watched the fight. I could see maybe why they scored a split decision, but I thought George Kambosos clearly just pulled it out, I believe, with a knockdown or two that he had in that fight. Mickey Bay, I believe he's a former champion. If he's not a former champion, then correct me, but he was a former top contender for sure. Mickey Bay used to be a pretty decent fighter. And, if you're able to get a, even a decision victory over Mickey Bay, that's a pretty good sign that you're a decent fighter as well. Lee Selby, who used to be a former champion, decent British fighter, he ended up beating him, I believe, by unanimous decision, or maybe that was a split decision as well. I can't remember. But when it comes down to the overall, George Kambosos, he has been on the rise lately. He has gotten a couple of big wins in his pocket as well. So who's going to win this fight and why? Who do I think is going to win this fight? And let's break it down. Well, personally, if you had to ask me who I think is going to win this fight, I got to go with Teofimo Lopez. Personally, that's just the way overall that I see it. Teofimo Lopez, when I take a look at him versus George Kambosos Jr., I think that both of them actually are very similar towards each other. They both actually have a very similar style. They're not really known for their combination punches. They're really known for their 1-2s, their 1-2-3s. Maybe those type of combinations, but they're not really known as being major combination punchers. They kind of wait for certain counters. Sometimes they can wait on the back foot, especially Teofimo Lopez. That's where I think Teofimo Lopez more than likely is going to be in this fight. I think that more than likely he is going to fight on the back foot. I do think more than likely he is going to be the one kind of backtracking in this fight, waiting for certain counters, to open themselves, with George Kambosos maybe becoming open to them. And when I take a look at them, like I said, they're both very similar to each other. Teofimo Lopez, he's kind of like, he's actually like a much better version of George Kambosos, in my opinion. Someone who's a better counterpuncher, someone who's stronger than George Kambosos Jr., someone overall who has higher boxing IQ and higher defense than George Kambosos, better head movement when it comes down to it. I believe that Teofimo Lopez actually is a better version of George Kambosos Jr. That's personally what I believe. They do have some similarities. Now, George Kambosos, I believe at first he'll be on the pressure. I believe at first he'll be pressuring Teofimo Lopez in this fight. But if he does feel Teofimo Lopez's power, if he does get hit with some flush shots early on, if he gets knocked down early on, he may not be pressuring Teofimo Lopez as much anymore. He might try to back up and say, okay, I might need to regroup. I might try, overall to, maybe backtrack with this guy, or I may not be able to come forward with him as much anymore because I can't take this guy's power consistently. So we'll see what happens. But personally, if you had to ask me overall what I think the end result is going to be in this fight, I'm going to have to go with Teofimo Lopez by knockout. I think overall that he's going to end up winning this fight by KO. Either KO or TKO, either or. I could see him possibly winning by KO. Probably more likely TKO when it comes down to it. But Teofimo Lopez, his power is no joke, man. I've seen him hurt a multitude of fighters. He has a great power. He might actually be the most powerful puncher in that whole entire division. That includes, even with Gervonta Tank Davis, it's either him or Gervonta Tank Davis for the most powerful puncher at 135 pounds. It's one of those two. So when it comes down to it, at least that's the way it looks like right now. So it is what it is. But Teofimo Lopez, he has a great power. He has decent speed. The only area that I may give George Kambosos Jr. the advantage over Teofimo Lopez maybe is hand speed. But even that is a bit tricky because Teofimo Lopez, he's decently fast as well. Both of them, like I said, both of them like to look for certain counters. Both of them overall, they're not really known as combination punchers. They're really known as kind of 1-2, 1-2-3 guys. They're not really, like I said, known for their max amount of combinations or anything like that. So this may look like a little bit of a chess match when it comes down to it. It may look a little bit like a chess match. And I just don't know if George Kambosos, I don't know if he has the skills, the ability, the defense, and he seems to have a decent chin, but Teofimo's power is on a whole nother level. I think Teofimo, if he wants to win this fight, he'll have to stick his jab out there consistently. George Kambosos has a little bit of a problem overall with avoiding the jab. Overall, set up that right hand, set up that right cross. He might walk into it. For George Kambosos, I would say maybe try to go to the body with Teofimo Lopez a little bit. If you're able to chop him up against the ropes, if you're able overall to maybe to get on the inside with him, go to the body a little bit, throw left to the body. Overall, don't be afraid to, double jab when it comes down to it, which, does not seem like something George Kambosos does a whole lot, but we'll see what happens. It's going to be an interesting fight when it comes down to it, but I got to go with my guy Teofimo Lopez at the end of the day. I think Teofimo Lopez, I think overall that he has the advantage in almost every category. I think that they're both very similar, but I think that Teofimo Lopez, I think that he's going to get it done. I think that he's going to get it done, and hopefully, if Teofimo Lopez, if he does pull it off, whoever pulls this fight off, hopefully we get to see them versus Devin Haney next, because that is a unification fight, and of course that would be a very big fight. So we'll end up seeing what happens next. And hopefully the winner of that fight would face Josh Taylor at 140 pounds. I think overall that would be a very interesting fight. That would make a lot of money. So we'll end up seeing what happens there. But anyways, that's really about it for today. I got Teofimo Lopez by knockout. Would it surprise me if it went to the decision? It wouldn't surprise me, but I'm going to go with Teofimo Lopez by knockout within about 7 to 9 rounds. Wouldn't even surprise me if it was within the first 5. That's what I'm going with. I'm sticking to it. I'm going by TKO or KO. We'll end up seeing what happens. Once again, if it ended up going to a decision, would I be surprised? I wouldn't be surprised, but I just can't see George Kambosos lasting a full 12 against Teofimo Lopez. I think that he has way too much power, and I think Kambosos, I think that he's a little bit too hittable for my liking, so we'll end up seeing what happens in this fight. But that's my prediction for this fight. Let me know overall what you guys think, and I'll talk to you all later.